South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining us this morning. It is Sports by the Book, the show where we talk sports betting on each and every sport that we can, trying to help give you the best information to make the best bets. I'm Alex White alongside Kenny White. We will be here today from 9 to 10 and tomorrow from 9 to 10. But remember, this show is 7 days a week at 9 a.m. on Saturdays. We do go at 8 a.m. All right, we got a lot to get to. Full slate of hockey, a lot of college basketball. We're going to really go through those games, see what best bets we have in that. First, we have to recap a little bit. We did not show our boards yesterday at the end of the show, but we have a new animation coming at 9:58, so we will no longer forget that. But we did go through a couple bets yesterday. You had a double winner because we both had the over in the FCS championship game, but you also had a dog that won outright in North Dakota State. And that was your dog of the day?
I had such a good day yesterday, I don't even put my board up because it was a bad day on the board. Seattle and under parlay. Seattle didn't get there. They lost 3-2. The game did go under.
The game did go under.
Houston went under and Minnesota under, and that was an easy under, but they went in overtime and lost and went in overtime. But the FCS was so good. I went back and looked and won my last 19 bets in the FCS, 19 in a row, 19-0 in the playoffs. I just may quit betting everything else but FCS football and women's basketball. That's it. That's all I need to bet.
But it was a struggle throughout the regular season of FCS. It wasn't as good as it normally is.
No, it was one good weekend, which is crazy because that's, I think I told you a story about a bookmaker in Costa Rica that had a team of a syndicate was beating him.
Oh, yeah.
And he sat down and talked with them and said, listen, you guys are really good. I want to back you. I want to go out and bet a ton of money on this, and I want to bet your plays. So he did. And the first 2 months of the season, he lost like $3 million betting their plays. They couldn't win, but he kept at it. And in November, they turned it around and they got his money back and they broke even on the year. Same thing here. There was some decent weekends in the FCS. There was one great weekend. It was like 25-3. Mm-hmm. And every game, winner. It was just, a really fun morning to check all those off. And I wasn't sweating any games. I was just getting up every Saturday or Sunday morning, and I would go check how I did in the FBS and then how I did in the FCS. And you're right. That one weekend, I think last year we won 45 units betting the FCS. This year, that one weekend put us up we were up about 25, 26 units going into the college football playoffs. So now we ended up over 45 units up for the college football.
Very
FCS.
good. What do you think the reasoning is the FCS was a little bit tougher throughout the regular season?
I don't know. It's just it's luck and how the ball bounces sometimes.
You don't think anything with the portal or
no, because
moving
we're that's good for us. We do well when things change and when players change. It's good for us. Sometimes we don't know the continuity of a team or how the locker room is. I wish I knew all that. That would really help the winning percentage go way up. But at one point, I think before that big weekend, it might have been week 6 or 7. I talked with the group and I said, how are we doing with the line movement? He says, we're getting the best of the number on 91% of the games we're playing. And we're playing a ton of games. We have, 35, 40 plays a weekend. And that weekend we only had 28. Too bad we didn't have 40 some plays that weekend. But so when you're getting the best of the line movement 91% of the time, you're going to win. It's just a matter of time. It's just like the sports book. They know they're going to win. It's just a matter of time. Yeah. They got minus 110 in time on their side. So it's how the ball bounces, and that's why I always say you've got to manage your money. If you're going to be successful betting, manage your money. Don't go out there and on a binge and all right, I'm going to bet 10,000 on this game tonight because I'm winning, and then it loses, and then you're like, I got to get that 10,000 back, and then you try to bet 20,000 and you lose, and now you're like, let's say I did that, I won 19 straight games, and I did that, and then I'd be 19-2 and losing money. It's just so ridiculous. I'm not going to go up in my bets now because I'm on a nice streak, and I go up, proportionately. Yeah.
And when do you decide to start doing some round robins? Because I did learn that from you. And then certain point of this college football season, I love when I'm feeling very confident, I love to put some round robins in with my top 5 to 7 plays.
Yeah. You can in the major sports. They're not going to, I'm always worried now for the last 3 years getting kicked out of so many books and not being able to bet. Of betting them in round robins because it worries them and it limits, used to be you could bet a round robin and use the same game and total in that round robin. Not anymore. I'm even talking on major sports. Circa, I think will allow me to do it. I can't remember. I don't really bet a lot of round robins at Circa, but, most of the other places that I'm betting with, when I put a round robin in, side and total in the round robin, it rejects it right away. It will not allow that correlation, and that you could do that for years. Now I understand if I was betting UNLV -1 and over 44, and you're not going to allow me to have that in the round robin. I think the technology needs to be updated to be smarter, to allow people to bet that. And it's like my team of guys that bet, they complain all the time that all of their apps, they've gone in so hard at a lot of places. So MGM, they've beaten them at college baseball. They've beaten them at FCS football. They've beaten them at, MDA Summer League. And then they try to make a bet on the NFL, and MGM says, no, you can only have $5. We've lost thousands of dollars to you in the NFL. So instead of limiting someone across the board in all sports, figure out what sports they're beating you, limit them in that. But again, find out where the information's coming from. It's a long story.
Well, we're talking about football, and I do want to talk about some trends because you do have NFL trends going into the wild card weekend here. I also want to give a shout out to Damian and Vince who are already in the chat. And the question today was, ready for today's plays? What are you looking for? Are you looking for basketball, hockey, or football, which we did kind of hit on yesterday, and we will a little bit in the second half as well. But Vegas Maddie is joining us at 9:45 at the desk to wrap up the football season and all of the big contests around town. So we will get to that. But any requests, and tomorrow, because we have 6 NFL games, I don't think we'll be able to go in depth into every one of them. But if you have a request, we can.
Well, if we just do football tomorrow,
just do football. Well,
if we have 8 games to talk about, we could just do those 8 games. That'd be an hour.
That's true. We could do that.
Leave out basketball and hockey. And
maybe if we have a strong basketball or hockey, we can throw those out there as well.
Yeah, we'll look at the sheet and see if there's any big plays.
Well, let's get into NFL and some trends. There is one trend that is floating around there, and I know you looked more into where there's 7 teams for each conference, but John Ewing did tweet out, since 2010, double-digit favorites in the NFL playoffs are 17-1 straight up and 13-5 ATS. So that is the Ravens that have now hit 10 over the Steelers. So that is an interesting thing. And yesterday I tried to talk you into the Steelers taking 10. It's so many points in the NFL, but you brought up the fact of just like the college football playoffs, that first round, having that home game, the better team seated there for a reason. So kind of backed off of that one as well.
You said yesterday that, the Joes did well in some of the contests because the favorites were winning in the NFL, and I had to update the season, and I only use favorites of 3 or greater. But you're right, 110-85, 8 ties, 56.4%. That's just amazing. But the damage was done on the road. Away teams were 43-27 ATS, 61%. You're up 13 units just betting the away teams. Any away team that was a 3-point or more favorite. And then betting over was advantageous as well. I kept preaching before the year started. I said at the end of the year, favorites are going to cover 48%, overs are going to hit 48%. But there are exceptions to each year because there's only 270 games. If there was 1,000 games, I could guarantee that's what the number is going to be. But 1 year is that kind of way. I remember back, I think it was like 02 or 03. The NFL, the favorites hit like 58%. That was one of the highest years I've ever seen. This is the second highest year I've ever seen a favorites hitting. But that year after the favorites hit, the next year, dogs covered like 60% of the times. It was ridiculous that it was like back-to-back, that it was that crazy. I didn't think it could be that way. I don't think it'll be that way next year, that you're going to see dogs cover 57% of the time to get us back to even, because it's just not, likely to happen. I'm going to guess what happens next year. Dogs cover 51%, favorites cover 48%, and there'll be 1% a game of ties. So that's what I think. But in the last 2 years, in the wild card round, now that we have 7 teams and there's 6 games this first round.
Yep.
Last year there was 3 games that 3 of the games were very competitive. So spreads under 3 points. So I didn't use those. There were 3 teams at home that were 3 points or greater. They went 1-2 ATS last year. The year before that, though, home teams were 5-1. So the last 2 years, the home teams are 6-3 ATS. I think that's still a small sample size, but I still think there is a slight advantage for the home teams. That home field may be worth more of a point and a half.
And that didn't matter, juncture. Favorite or dog, just at home covering.
They were favorites.
No,
they were favorites. These are favorites. These are only favorites. There were no away favorites last year. All 6 games was the home team was a favorite. Oh, I'm sorry, 2022.
2022.
Yeah, last year was more competitive, where there were 3 games that were, very close to pick.
Okay.
So, but 2022, all 6 home teams were favored by 3 points or more, and they went 5-1 ATS. Wow. Last year, out of the 6 games, very high scoring, 5-1 to the over. The average score was the away team 30.5 to 27.5. That's a median. The median, if you just take the game total, was 58 points scored in each game. The average total was 45. So they went over by 13 points per game. The year before that, 2022, was 4-2 to the under. And the average scoring was 45.5. What was interesting, the average total was 48. When you have a small sample size like this of just 6 games and you have 12 teams, 1 year you may get all defensive low-scoring teams, and then the next year you may get all offensive teams that can't stop anybody. So, it's different, and that's why you need bigger sample sizes. Over the 2-year period, when we started this new 7 teams from each side make the playoffs, number 1 seed gets a bye. The home team has averaged 31, the visitor 22. So I thought I was going to take something off my totals. I'm not going to. My totals is what it is, and I'm going in with that. And I'm not going to force an under,
right?
Because it looks like these games have gone over. Now I'll look for bad weather to see if there's a situation where if I can find some windy weather.
It looks like Baltimore is one that we already need to keep an eye on between them and the Steelers. But that is really interesting. And you going going back to 2022 though, and having those 6 home teams a favorite. Last year a little more competitive. This year we have 2 very competitive games where the Chargers are favored in Houston and the Vikings small favorite over the Rams in LA. So those should be very competitive. But just looking at this bracket as well, Commanders and Bucks. I know that you made that number higher. I made that number higher. I wouldn't want to take anything off of that total between those 2 teams.
Yeah, they're both very, very good offensive teams with 2 good quarterbacks. I mean, when you're betting over, you want to make sure you got 2 good quarterbacks, and there are 2 good ones there.
Looking forward to the playoffs. We have a great weekend of football coming up, starting on Thursday with the Penn State Notre Dame game and then going all the way to next Monday. So it should be a lot of fun, and we will have you covered here on Sports by the Book, so make sure you check back with us throughout the week. But let's get into some college basketball. I know we have a lot of college basketball to get to, and we do need to catch up on NBA. That is on our list, so we can be talking about NBA starting next week again. Yes?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I wish I could. It's just
I can help.
Things got back to that'd be great. Things got back to normal kind of yesterday. Kids going back to school, people working their normal jobs instead of having all this time off. I don't know how these people get so much time off. I just don't understand it.
It is funny.
And all like more and more. The get-togethers were great, but boy, it takes a lot out of you. You realized it. You found out what it's like this holiday season, I think, more than ever. This was the never-ending holiday season, the longest ever that I've ever can remember in my life. And I think that's because, Christmas fell on a Wednesday, New Year's fell on a Wednesday. And it's in the middle of the week, so you had 4 weekends, basically, in a 14-day period.
Yes, a lot going on there.
Vince is still trying to figure that out. How can you have 4 weekends in a 14-day period?
Let's get into some college basketball. We're going to go right down the row here with every game. Good morning to Dean Hilt, who is joining us in the chat as well. I'm trying to keep up and be better about that as well. So let's start with the Johnnies and Xavier. We've got St. John's 1.5 and the total 153.5 in this one.
Yeah, it's my number's right there in this game. We don't have to spend a lot of time with it. I've got Xavier a 0.5 point favorite and 151, so it's right on the number.
Kent State 13-point favorite on the road against Northern Illinois, total 135.
I have 13.5 on the side, but I have only 118 on the total. Big difference on this game. What'd you say the total is now?
135.
Yeah, it came down. So it was 137 this morning. I figured it would come down. Kent State plays extremely slow. One of the slowest teams in the country, and both teams have a hard time scoring the basketball, especially Northern Illinois. They average 63 points per game. Kent State's median score is 129, and then you got Northern Illinois scoring 63 a game. If you add the 2 teams up what they score, it's 128. I just don't see a lot of points being scored in this game, especially by Northern Illinois.
Under 135 in that one. We'll see if it makes the board. Central Michigan and Akron 7.5 of the total 145.5.
I made it 10 and 153.5, an 8-point difference. But when I looked the game over, both these teams do struggle a little bit offensively. I could look at Akron's team total over. I made it 82. They're 7-4 over this year. They love to run, one of the fastest teams in the country. But both of these teams, especially Central Michigan. Central Michigan's defense is far better than their offense. They're not very good, though. They're a 1-8 basketball team. But Akron will score some points in this game.
What did you say you had the side at?
10. I have a slight lean to Akron, but not a big enough difference to bet it.
I thought maybe we could take the better defense getting points, but Miami, Ohio, 1-point favorite on the road against Ball State, total 147.
And I had Ball State 3. They're not the better defense. My total 147. It's right on. The numbers crossing 0, and Ball State did open up the favorite. So somebody likes Miami of Ohio. I'll just pass.
Eastern Michigan and Toledo 9.5 at home, total 153.
I have 10.5 and 147. Two really bad defenses, so I'm not interested in going under. And Toledo runs a little bit, and they're not bad offensively. So Toledo could put up a big number in this game, but I'll just pass.
Western Michigan opened about 3.5 at some places. Now 5.5 point favorite at home against Bowling Green. Total 151.
I had it 3.5, 149. So not a big difference. Two really bad offenses, but even worse defenses. Both teams are better offensively than they are on the defensive end. So that's the total is 150. But I think it's where it needs to be.
SEC matchup here between Florida and Tennessee. Now, this total has been bumped up a little bit, now sitting at 150 here at the South Point between the Florida Gators and Tennessee. The Gators are a 4-point favorite at home. Oh,
wow. I took 3 earlier with Tennessee, and I made Tennessee 1.5 in the game. They're undefeated. Florida Gators just lost their first basketball game. So
yes, they did.
Looking at them two, both teams 10-4 ATS on the year. The total I have 146.5, but I won't disagree with the over because Florida runs like crazy and you got 2 top offenses, but you do have 2 top defenses. Both defenses are very, very good, especially Tennessee's.
Kentucky laying 2 at Georgia, total 153.5.
Kentucky, I have Georgia the favorite 1/2. This game number came down that way. 156.5. It's right there. Kentucky playing up tempo with Mark Pope as the new head coach. They are very good offensively. Mark Pope has shown he's a really good teacher of offensive schemes, and they run and score, and they don't really stop anybody. This is a game that I think could go over the total, but my number doesn't have enough room in it for me to bet it, so I'll just pass.
I think you like a play in this game. Arizona Wildcats laying 3 on the road at West Virginia, total 142.5.
I do. Very rarely do you get a second matchup between 2 teams in the same year when they're in conference, that the second game's a conference game. These 2 played in the Bahamas, and West Virginia upset Arizona that day. So I think Arizona's the better basketball team. I've got them almost 10 points better. Plus they have the revenge factor. I think they got a better coach in Tommy Lloyd. Laying the short price with Arizona. Always love laying, if you can bet a game that you got to win by 1 possession and you think they're going to win by 2 or 3. I think there's a lot of value in those bets. Excuse me. I have the total 136.5. Didn't notice that before, but Arizona really loves to run. So I'll pass on the total because I like the side so much.
Arizona starting to turn things around, coming off a nice win. Nice back-to-back TCU and then Cincy for the Wildcats. Let's go Ohio and Buffalo. Ohio 12-point favorite on the road, total 153.
I have 12 and 159.5. And, I didn't look at my numbers or know anything, and I knew it was Ohio and Buffalo, I would say over right away because both these schools have really been high-scoring basketball programs over the years, and they wouldn't disappoint because they're both over this year. Ohio 6-5 through the over, Buffalo 7-4, and Ohio is really running 30th fastest pace in the country. Both defenses well below average. Both offenses are better than their defenses. So I do like it over. Is it still 152.5?
153.
Okay, so it went up a little bit, a half here at the South Point, but yeah, I like that one over.
All right, let's get to some ACC here. Pittsburgh at Duke. Duke 14.5 at home, total 143.5.
Always a big game for Pittsburgh when they play Duke because this is Jeff Capel. He's a Dookie. I'm pretty sure they have revenge in the game. I didn't look back at that yet, but I will. And if Pittsburgh does have revenge, if they lost both games last year to Duke or lost one of them, I made Duke 13, but I'll take 2.5 points off of that revenge and make it 10.5 and look to take the points. My numbers say under. Duke's defense has been the best in the country, and they're playing at home. They're 9-5 to the under. Pittsburgh's very good offensively and very good defensively, a little better on the offensive end. Duke will make you play deeper into the shot clock, which will limit possessions. And neither one of these teams are really showing that they're up-tempo teams. It seems like they both want to get into their offense and run their offense. So I do like it under for that, Duke rivalry situation with Capel and Shire.
I like that under as well. So they went 1-1 last year, and they They both won on each other's home court.
Oh, well, they did.
Yes.
They both upsets.
Yes, Pittsburgh won at Duke, and that was the second game, so you can't really give them.
No, Duke
revenge.
will be ready. So I won't be betting the side, pass on the side, but I will bet it under 143.
Do like that as well. Let's go Clemson and Louisville. The Cardinals are 3.5 at home. Total 146.5.
I have 3.5, 142. Really, not a lot there. Two really good offensive teams. I'll pass.
Georgia Tech laying 1 on the road against Syracuse. Total 155.
I'm in Georgia Tech 4.5. I think they're the better basketball team, and I'll lay the 1 in this spot. The total is right there, 156.5, and I'd like to see what these two did.
Looks like the steam is going with you. Syracuse open 1.5 at some places. Now the bettors like Georgia Tech as well.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if what the season series was last year, but I'll take a quick look. Looks like there was just the one game, and Georgia Tech did win at home, so can't really put any revenge factor in, but that's okay. I still think it's worth a small play, and betting Georgia Tech again, one of these games that I like that we just have to win the game, and I think they're going to win by 1.5, 2 possessions. So I love those type of bets.
UAB hosting Tulane 8.5 here at the South Point. Total 157.5.
Yeah, I have 5.5, so I do lean to Tulane. I like Ron Hunter, their coach. The total I made 165.5.
Oh, over.
UAB runs, and both teams are pretty weak defensively, especially UAB. UAB's a really good offensive team, but they struggle on the defensive end. That's where they're going to win. But Tulane has the better defense, and they're getting 9.5. I'll take Tulane.
8.5 here, but you can get a 9 other places. So
okay. So the number did come down. There has been some money for Tulane.
So we can give you 9 here. UTSA 5.5 point favorite at home against Tulsa. Total 156.
I only have them 1. Texas San Antonio 1 and 144.5. So I'm leaning to the under, but Texas San Antonio plays up tempo. They got a new coach. Austin Claunch is in his first year. Both defenses below average. Both offenses below average as well. I don't really, have a feel for this game because I just don't have a feel under or over for these two teams. I feel like they're over teams and over programs. So, but I love betting unders. Then the number did move my way a little bit. So I'm going to have to look at this game a little closer, but my numbers say Tulsa and under, but I'm going to take a closer look.
This will never get old to me, but Iowa Hawkeyes are 18th quickest team in the country, so this total is not a surprise, but they're a 4-point favorite at home against Nebraska, and the total is 160.5.
Yeah, Wisconsin put up 100 against them. I have 3 and 177.5. 18, you already said 160 now?
160.5.
See, it's going up, and it's going to continue to go up. I like it over. You just bet Iowa over. They're 9-5 over, but Nebraska has been an under team this year. Their defense is better than their offense, but will the defense travel? I don't think they'll have a problem running with Iowa. Iowa's just so fast. They play so fast. They're averaging 90 points per game. Can they get it against Nebraska's defense? I think so. And I think Nebraska will have a chance to get 90 themselves. So love that one over.
Couple high possession games here for Nebraska, including coming off a UCLA 71 in that one, and then Michigan State, North Florida 77 in that one. So if it's going to be anything like this Iowa game.
Yeah, the North Florida type game, they know they're better, and if North Florida runs, that's the better team. The coach every once in a while on slow down teams, every once in a while has to say to the guys, all right, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's play a little more. Let's play faster today. Let's see how we do playing fast. The problem is they do well playing fast, and then they try to play fast against somebody good that they can't.
Yeah.
And then they lose. So the fastest team they played this year was South Dakota, and they won 96-79. That game went well over this total. And Iowa plays faster than South Dakota, and Iowa is a far better offensive team. So, yeah, I love that total over.
Okay, that is an over here. Few more. Let's keep it going. Missouri State 2.5 at home, total 138.
I have them 1 and 130. So the number has come down because I saw 139.5 this morning. Missouri State, slowdown team. Both teams very poor offensive teams. Missouri State is the better defensive team. I like it under. Missouri State's always been a good under team for me over the years. This is Quanzo Martin, and he's a defensive first coach. He's 8-5 under this year for Missouri State. So, I like that under.
Oklahoma State and Kansas State. The Cowboys are a 3-point favorite, total 147.
Oklahoma State, Kansas State. I have pick and 150, so numbers pretty close on this game. Oklahoma State playing up tempo. Both teams rather kind of average offensively and defensively. This should be a very close basketball game. I don't know if there's a revenge factor for Kansas State. If there is, I would like to bet the game because, again, I think this is a one-possession game, and it comes down to the wire. And, Kansas State's got as good a chance to win, I think, as Oklahoma State does.
Well, let's check it out from last year. We'll take a look there.
Yeah, you there or you need me to?
I am here. Let's see. I see one Oklahoma State. Looks like they split.
Did not play this year.
Kansas State lost at Oklahoma State. So, they both won at home last year against one another.
Yep. So, there's no revenge factor. So, I would lean to Kansas State. 2.5 points is enough for me.
3.
The problem is, I can get 3 now. Well, 3 is definitely a play on Kansas State for me. I would have to take 3 because the game can't fall pick. So really, it's only a 2-point difference, I guess, because there's only 2 scenarios that I can win if my team doesn't win straight up.
Right.
It's if Oklahoma State winning by 1 or 2. I like to have sometimes 3 scenarios.
Yes. Here we go. Cincinnati and Baylor. Baylor, 5.5 at home against the Bearcats. 138.5 in this one.
I have them 8 and 136.
Yes.
Baylor has played slow. They're really good offensively. Now this will be an interesting game because Baylor's strength is their offense. Cincinnati's strength is their defense. Does defense travel here in this game? Defense usually does travel. Cincinnati is 11-2 to the under this year. They just play great defense. Neither team runs, so I would lean to the under. This is the type of game that if you have time for in-game, is to see if they score a bunch early, maybe hit a bunch of threes. That's going to turn around, and then you bet under a much higher number than 139.
Baylor coming off a bad loss against Iowa State, could not hang around in that one with the Cyclones.
Oh, they got crushed. I bet Baylor that game. So maybe it's a bounce back for Baylor, and I do have them a little higher favorite, and I have made that adjustment. So we'll see.
Okay, we got a couple more. Utah, Iowa State 18 here at the South Point, 152.5.
Just pass. I have 17.5 and 152.5.
Marquette, 12.5 at home, total 146 against Georgetown.
I have 12.5 and 156.5. So I lean to the over, but I worry about Georgetown. Their defense is very good. It's much better than their offense. They're under for the year. 10-4 to the under with Ed Cooley, and Shaka Smart's 9-6 under. So I'm not going to bet against the trend here. I'll just pass.
SIU Edwardsville, 3-point favorite on the road against Eastern Illinois, 133.5.
I made them 5. Brian Barone's team. Money is coming their way, but not enough value for me to bet the side. Total, I only made 123.5. 2 slowdown teams with 2 really bad offenses. The defenses are far better for both teams, so I played that under 132.5.
Fresno State and Colorado State. Colorado State is a 13.5-point favorite, total 150.5.
15.5 and 151.5. We can just pass.
Back to SEC. Auburn, 10.5 on the road against Texas, total 151.
This will be a great game. Really will be. Rodney Terry's got a good team with Texas. We know Bruce Pearl, best team in the country right now. I think I have Auburn 4 points better, or 4.5 points better than everyone else. I'm sure they will come back to earth a little bit playing in the SEC. I made the game 9.5. What'd you say the side was?
10.5.
Yeah, there's 10.5. There's 11s out there. I wish that Texas had the better defense. These are 2 really good defensive teams. they could force this into a slowdown, but my total 158.5. It's higher than what's out there. So I'm going to pass. I'm not going to go under. I think Texas will play their best defensive game tonight.
Coming off a loss to A&M and back at home, the Longhorns are. This game was requested, so let's take our time on it. Missouri, 7.5-point favorite, hosting LSU, total 151.
I only have 3.5, 145. So I like the dog, and I do like the game. My number says under, but when I look to the right of my sheet and I see a lot of blue, that scares me. Missouri's running. They're very good offensively. They're better offensively than they're on the defensive end. LSU's strength is their defense, and they're the better defensive team in this game. So I like that factor. I do like the side plus the points.
I really forgot about the end of the year that Missouri had last year.
Did they have a strong finish?
A awful finish.
Oh, an awful finish.
Yes,
Yeah.
0-18 in conference, so they have revenge against everyone.
I don't believe these two played twice, though. I think
At LSU.
They only played the one time, and LSU won 84-80. The last game of the season.
Yeah.
So Missouri gave a great effort trying to get a win, and they probably covered that game, and they probably covered the SEC Conference Tournament play-in game because they only lost 64-59 to Georgia. So they did play hard down the stretch for Dennis Gates, and he's been there a while. But I'll where's that game at?
You like the points. Take the 7.5 with the Tigers.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. Let me look and see what they've done this year after such a bad year last year. He has turned it around, and they did beat Kansas. They beat Kansas, and that's their big game. That was probably a neutral court game. It says home here on my schedule, but I feel like that game's always played in Kansas City. That was the best team they played so far. Nobody else even comes near that. I still think LSU's the better team, and they play the better defense, and LSU's off a home loss to Vanderbilt. LSU doesn't have any big wins either. Florida State and UCF and Kansas State are good wins, not great wins. But I don't need to win the game.
Yeah.
You're giving me points with LSU, I'll take it.
Are you surprised with how good the SEC has been to start the year?
No, not really, because, all of the money from the basketball and the nil is rolling over to for the football in the SEC. All the money they have for football is rolling over to basketball now. They're the best baseball conference by far as well.
Yeah, that's right. Just a few more. So you just talked about Vandy coming off a win. Now they are a 3-point dog to Mississippi State, total 154.5.
Oh, let me get the right sheet so I have the right information on Vandy to see if their defense is better. All right. I got it. Back in order.
Beat LSU.
No, Mississippi State's defense is better. I have Vandy 1.5, so I lean to the dog, but it's kind of been bet in that direction to give me a play, so I'm not going to bet against the move. My total 154.5 is right on. Both of these teams are playing up tempo. Both of these teams are better offensively than they're on the defensive end. This could be an over game, but both teams have trended to the under. Both teams 8-6 to the under this year.
North Carolina laying 6.5 at home against SMU. The total 167.5.
It's gone up because it should. I think this will be we know it's going to be a high scoring game. I'm not going out on the limb saying that with a total that high already, but I have 178. North Carolina 5 and 178. The side's right there. Two teams that love to run, two teams that are top 25 offenses that have defenses that rank anywhere from 50 to 80.
Yep.
So two teams that when your offenses are better and you run like that, there's a chance your shooting could be off that night, but most likely this is going to be a high scoring game. It's another one that I'm going to look for to keep an eye on tonight. And it is a 6:00 game. If they start early and they don't hit their shots and the pace is there, I think these teams will hit their shots at one point, and you might be able to get a really good bet on in-game.
North Carolina's 7th quickest team right now in the country, so I do like that as well. BYU, 2-point favorite at home against Texas Tech, total 149.
I have Texas Tech a half. This is Grant McCaslin. I really like him. Kevin Young, I don't know much about at BYU. He's in his first year taking over from Mark Pope.
Done a pretty good job so far.
Yeah, he has. But, it could be with Mark Pope's players. Now you're getting into the Big 12. We'll see if they can handle that. Mm-hmm. My total's right there. Texas Tech's got the better defense because Grant McCaslin, that's how he plays. He came from North Texas. Complete slowdown, great defense, and Texas Tech has always been a good defensive team. Since Bobby Knight left, they've been a defensive program under all the coaches they've had, and they hired another defensive guy in McCaslin. So I'll take the points with Texas Tech in this game.
Very good offense as well, though, with Texas Tech. Utah State, San Jose State. Utah State's a 10-point favorite on the road. Let's make sure. 9.5-point favorite on the road. Total 148 in this one.
I have them 12.5, 145.5. Utah State's a really good program. I like Jared Calhoun. I think he was at Youngstown State, and he's a good basketball coach. He knows how to coach basketball. My numbers are right there on the game, so there's no use really digging any deeper because I'm going to pass.
UCLA is a 3-point favorite hosting Michigan. Total 141.5.
I made Michigan a half-point favorite. Dusty May's having a good year with this team. He did a really good job. Juwan Howard did a horrible job as the Michigan head coach. And a lot of times great players don't make the best head coaches because they didn't have to work that hard to be that great sometimes. So if you don't work your team, you're not going to be good. Michigan underachieved under him, but Dusty May looks like he has them overachieving. Mick Cronin still has a good team with UCLA. Not a great team, but a really good team. Michigan's the better basketball team.
This is one of the only spots you can get that 3, 2.5 most places.
Is it now down to 2.5? Yeah. Well, I'm going to play Michigan plus the points. I like what I've seen out of Dusty May. But UCLA is very well coached. Mick Cronin's a really good coach. I'm going against a tough guy that knows how to win.
3 more games. Pretty good games here. New Mexico, 6.5-point favorite.
I got to go back to that game. You know what? My total 125.5.
Wow.
Both teams have really good defenses, very good defenses. And Mick Cronin doesn't run. I'm going to pass on Michigan on the side because Cronin worries me. But that's a really good total under. And it's already moved. There's been money for the under already.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
What was that other under that you had starred?
Eastern Illinois I had under. 132.5. I had starred a over, which is going to make my board.
North Carolina was one of the overs.
North Carolina over was another good one.
But that might have been an in-game. New Mexico, 6.5 at Wyoming. Total 146. Do you have a difference in that one?
7 and 156.5. So I'm over in this game. New Mexico, one of the fastest teams in the country, but Wyoming plays slow. And they're going to try to, slow this thing down as much as they can. They don't want Wyoming running, New Mexico running. Wyoming's defense is better than their offense. I don't want to go over in a game where I know one team wants to play deliberate. So I'll pass on that one.
Tough place to play there. UNLV is 3-0 in conference play, but I think they're just getting to the really tough competition. Boise, 8.5-point favorite at home, total 140.
I have Boise 7.5, 155. I like it over, but these teams play slow. Both are playing slow. Boise's really good offensively, but they're really good defensively too. UNLV's offense has been better than their defense.
Yep.
The two coaches combined are 14 and 14 to the total, so there's no trend that says bet it over, but my number does say over. And I think both these teams have scorers. I think it'll go over.
And last one, Loyola Marymount at St. Mary's. St. Mary's 14-point favorite, total 134.
I have 14.5, 118.5, and it's come down the total to starting to head towards mine. St. Mary's, as always, extremely methodical on offense, and they're outstanding defensively. Randy Bennett's got another great defensive team. So he used to have great offensive teams. St. Mary's was really always efficient offensively, and their defense was okay. And I think he got tired of getting beat by the Zags every year, that he needed to improve the team defense, and he has. They play super defense. So I do like that game under.
Game under there, 134. And that's it for college basketball. We'll do a quick run through of our 10 hockey games before we bring Maddie in to join us. And fill us in with all the contests. But I'll switch it over to you if you want to read the line.
Yes.
If you can pull that up, and we'll just run through these 10. I do have some differences. We'll talk through, make sure before we want to make them definite plays. But I'm going to spend a lot of time tonight and tomorrow really catching up and checking the hockey numbers.
All right, the first game is Dallas and the Rangers. Dallas opened up a very big favorite. We don't have it that high. Dallas is playing better. They've won 4 in a row, so you got to add that 20 cents to your number and make it 133. I think that'll be enough to keep you off the Rangers.
I really haven't taken anything out of the Rangers number with Shesterkin not being in there, and I probably should have. Jonathan Quick has done a good job filling in, but the Rangers have still struggled as of late. They're 3-7 in their last 10, so that definitely keeps us off there. Total 6, though, so a little bit of a lean there to under that 6.5.
And Ottinger, really good goaltender, and the Rangers have struggled to score a little bit. Columbus at Pittsburgh.
I do like that, yeah.
Pittsburgh here at the South Point open $1.40. They're now $1.50. That total 6.5.
Surprising. I actually have Pittsburgh 170 here over Columbus, and that is because Columbus is one of the teams where you can bet them at home, but not on the road. They are 4-12-3 away from home this year, so that's why it's a lean to Pittsburgh. But I like the total even more. I like over 6.5 here with these two. Both of them give up a lot of goals and can score quick, so over 6.5 in that one.
Over there. Edmonton at Boston. This game here at the South Point opened Edmonton on the road $1.40 up to 150, total of 6.
Haven't gone quite as high on Edmonton as the rest of the market, so that explains why I still have Boston as a small favorite, almost a pick 'em here from these two. But Boston has been better at home, 12-6-3. They're 4-4-2 in their last 10. But we do have to factor in they have lost 4 in a row. So
yeah, and Edmonton's won 3 in a row, so you're going to make a 35-cent adjustment, and now you'll have Edmonton 117. So really,
totals right there as well.
Side and totalers right there. Ottawa at Detroit. South Point opened Ottawa $1.20. This game's now down to a pick, -110 each way. Money for the under, 6 under to 5.5 over.
Wow. And we have a backup goalie in for Ottawa. So I'm not surprised with the move to the Red Wings, even though they have struggled a little bit, but they are 6-4 in their last 10, 9-10-2 at home this year. So that makes sense. Alex Lyon, the better goalie in this one, but
and a 4-game winning streak.
6.
4-game winning streak for Detroit.
Yes, they have turned it around.
Very close to being a play, but they're still -110, so it's not a big enough difference for me to bet it. Carolina is at Tampa, and this game is a pick. Carolina now the favorite, 115. They moved up 5 cents. The total 6 over 15.
Tampa Bay, we have -130 here at home, and that is because the Canes have been much better at home than on the road. On the road, 9-9-2 or 9-11 there. So lean to Tampa Bay here at home. They have already played, but so the Canes do have revenge. The Lightning won at Carolina October 11th, 4-1.
Tampa's lost 4 in a row, so we're going to adjust 20 cents down to make it 110. So there's no play, but do you like the game over? You got it 6.5 over 28.
Yes, definitely like it over, even though these teams have been, we couldn't get there with Florida and Colorado yesterday, so maybe they're starting to play better defense here. But Tampa, number 1 in goals for, 3.7, 11th in goals against. And then we've got the Canes on the other side tied for 6th in goals for at 3.38.
So 2 of the top 6 teams in the NHL in scoring going head to head. So
11th and 10th in goals against us. So still,
they play good. They play good defense. They're both good teams.
Yeah,
but you only need 3-3 tie. Got a winner.
Because it's 6 and we've got over that. Yeah.
We'll Toronto at Philly. Toronto opened $1.35 at the South Point. They're up to $1.40. The total money for the under, 6 over 15 down to 5.5 over a quarter.
Wow, all the way down to 5.5. So these two just played each other 2 days ago, played in Toronto. Toronto won that one 3-2. Now they're flipping to Philly. Typically, and I think there was 3 or 4 examples of this that have already happened in December, they just alternated, right? And won at home. I don't know if the Flyers can beat. I'm not that confident about taking the Flyers.
Toronto's won 4 in a row. Toronto's won 4 in a row, so you're going to adjust your number up to $1.60. But it's $1.40 in the market everywhere, so you only got a 20-cent edge. You're basically passing.
Yes. But I'm not jumping in to take the Flyers. Yeah, it's a lean to the Maple Leafs there since they've gotten Austin Matthews back.
St. Louis at Minnesota. South Point opener $1.40, down to $1.25. Money for the Blues, 5.5 under.
This is tough because we have the Wild minus 165, but I understand the move towards the Blues. The Wild have won 2 already this year. This is the first of 2 in Minnesota, so the Blues are trying not to get swept by this team so far this year. This is number 3 of 4. I like the total under, though, even at 5.5. 2 really good goalies here in this one, but...
Yeah, really good goalies. Yeah, both teams low scoring as well. I understand that. The 3-game winning streak for Minnesota pushes your number to $1.80. Mm-hmm. So the market number is about $1.30 right now. You may get $1.25, but I think that's worth a play on Minnesota.
I think so too.
Big game, Nashville versus Winnipeg. Nashville finally wins a couple games. And this number opened up here at the South Point, $1.35 on Winnipeg up to $1.50. So it looks like whatever group it was that was betting, trying to get a win out of Nashville, has stopped backing them finally.
They got 2 in a row, and now they are done with it.
I'm telling you, it was somebody with a lot of money that was going to play the Martingale system, and they were doubling up and trying to get a win, and they finally got it because there was no reasoning whatsoever for the last 3 lines on Nashville. But now they've won 2 in a row. That group probably is not betting it now and watch Nashville win 7 or 8 straight. And they'll go, yeah, we told you they were good. We know they were good too. Sooner or later, they're going to start winning. But you have $1.88.
Yeah, the talent that they have on the team is good. Their power rating.
Well, Winnipeg's lost 3 in a row.
Winnipeg has lost 3 in a row. These 2 have split so far on the year, 1-1, winning at home. So I do lean to the Jets here. They're a much better team all around. They're 14-4-2 at home, and the Predators 5-13-4 on the road.
Well, the market number is up to $1.60.
So that takes us off.
A lot of money for Winnipeg.
Under, though, I really like this.
You like it under?
Getting under 6 here with these 2. But you talked about Saros and how he has been, but 2.72 goals against.
But he's been better the last 2 games.
Yes, he has.
So I think current form is a much better indicator than, the last 60 days.
That's lean to that.
2 games left. Let's get it done and let's get Maddie in here.
Okay, here we go.
Calgary at Anaheim. South Point open $1.30 for Calgary, up to $1.40. The total is 6 to 6.5. A lot of money for the over.
I don't understand that. I like this under, especially at 6.5 now. Made it 5.5. First game between these 2 on the year. Calgary, just like Columbus, bet them when they're at home, not on the road. Also, looking for plus money more than when they're the favorite because they play up to their competition. But looking at these 2 and their numbers, Calgary tied for 28th in goals for, 2.62. Pretty good. Their average, 16th goals against. On the other side, the Ducks are 30th in goals for, 2.54. And their average tied for 14th at goals against. So playing good defense. These 2 will be ready. First matchup this year. I'm going under, especially if I can get 6.5.
You got it. Under 6.5. Vegas, the Golden Knights are in San Jose to take on the Sharks. Used to be a big rivalry when San Jose was decent. And we stole their coach. The Knights minus 240 up to 260, 6.5 under 15.
Vegas has already won 2 this year against the Sharks. So I don't know if you want to give San Jose any revenge there, but Vegas is just playing too good. 8-2 in their last 10 games. And started the year struggling on the road, but now they're 10-5-3 in away games. On the other side, the Sharks are 2-7-1 in their last 10, and I'm not sure who that goalie is. He's only played a few games here, so it would be Vegas or pass for me.
Yaroslav Askarov.
That sounded good. We'll take it. We'd have to go puck line on this one, minus 1.5 to get any value there with the Golden Knights. But
Brian taught me that. He said, just say it fast. They won't know if it's right or not.
We're going to take a 1-minute break. When we get back, Vegas Maddie joins us at the desk here on Sports by the Book.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning here at Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Going to check in again because Bob Custer is joining us now. I saw Dean Hilt earlier. Jerry's in there. Vince, Vicarious Vegas, and the usual. So thank you so much. And now another usual here for us in studio, Vegas Maddie. Make sure and check out footballcontest.com for all of your proxy needs. Good to have you with us once again. We checked in last week, but now it's officially done, right?
Everything's over. Yeah, the points have been tallied. The checks are going out Friday night at Circa. It should be a fun event as usual. 8 survivors went the distance, and I'm trying to remember. I think it's 1.7 million each, something like that, which is pretty good. It's a nice check to get. Unfortunately, our last guy standing was Papa Joe, and he went out with the Falcons. So that was a heartbreaking loss. It was up and down, roller coaster of emotions. Tony and I, my business partner, we watched with him, his wife, and partner. And that was just excruciating to see how that ended. Their defense. I was surprised that the Falcons didn't fire their defensive coordinator after that game. I can only remember the Panthers punting maybe once in that whole game.
Yeah.
If that. It was tough to watch, but
he was not alone. A bunch of people had the Falcons, right? That was the top pick?
Yeah, I think I want to say 8 went out with them. So there were 16 going in. Hold on. Or 18 going in, I believe. And then 2 went out with the Packers.
Yes.
So
yes.
That was a tough one. Being a Bears fan, I was watching. That was the ups and downs. You don't want to root against anybody, but it was crazy. I thought there was no way that the Bears were going to win with Cairo Santos, who has the leg of a child. So he can only kick about 40 yards. Then he nails a 51-yarder. And if you guys remember, in their first meeting, he got a shot to win the game at Soldier Field and missed it. So
cost the coach's job.
Yeah, well, a few things did, but that was kind of the beginning of it wasn't the beginning. It was like in the midst of their downward spiral. But it was nice to see the Bears kind of finish that off in a way. But 2 guys went out on them, and then
Bear fans, if you have the opportunity to beat the Packers, you always want to take
absolutely,
it, right?
Yeah. I mean, something positive to build on for next year. Hopefully, they get Ben Johnson in there to fix things. We'll see what happens, but I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one.
Yeah, that's the name being thrown out there. So everything else was good, though, all your contests?
Yeah, we did. We did have a number of clients that cashed. We had the second place winner in the Circa Million, so he's going to get a big check for $500,000, which is very nice. We had someone tie for 5th place, and then 3 tie for 9th. So, very good in the Circa Million. Just missed out on the $1 million by half a point. But our guy was pretty ecstatic. Path to Victory was his alias. And I knew right away the way the morning games were. Anybody who watched those morning games, like the favorites and all the consensus picks were just getting buried. The Bucks ended up pulling away and winning. I think 5 people were on the Bucks and Survivor, and they had to sweat that one out until they turned it around late in the game. But that spread, I think, closed at 15 or something like that. In the contest, it was 13.5. We had some of our guys and guys at the top. The biggest picks that we had to try to have lose were the Commanders, who the spread was 4.5, and that went up to 7, and they ended up winning by 4. They were lucky to win that one. So the guys ahead kind of lost. I think the leader from last week went like 1-4 on the Circa Million. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it just opened the door for our guy who had 3 afternoon games. He had the Chargers, which I went to the Raiders Chargers game and rooted for the Chargers to come home. That was a little close early on, and then they blew him away in the second half. But he had that, and then he had the Cardinals, which was another one that was close early and then blew him away. And unfortunately, he had the Chiefs plus 10.5, and the guy who won had the Broncos minus 10.5. So that was really like the difference in the contest and finishing first and second, because it was a half-point difference. And I'll tell you, Saturday night, that game between the Bengals and the Steelers was giant as well. The point spread was 2, and it ended 2.
Yep.
So our guy got a half a point, and then the leader got a half a point, and we had some other guys who were on the Bengals minus 2 that got the half a point. And I'm telling you, if you end up looking at the standings, that half a point, means, another, I mean, it was 500,000 for some people. I mean, it goes from, if our guy would have lost his and not finished second, he would have tied with 2 other guys for second place, and he would have gotten, I think, like $100,000 less.
Oh, wow.
So that was a big push. And for both of them, really. I mean, the Bengals really should have covered, but it is what it is, and we'll just move on from there. But Super Contest was actually really good for us too. We had the winner again, second year in a row, 4 overall, and then we had second place, and we had a guy tie for third, and then I think 4 others that were in the top 20. So, yeah, I mean, our guys killed it outside of winning the Survivor and winning the million, which I think they're still trying to figure out who won the million. That person's kind of been anonymous so far. I think it might be a local, because the proxies, no one's like stepped up. Normally it's the time to brag and say, hey, our guys won all this money and stuff like that. And it's that person is still kind of unknown at this point, but hopefully they'll show up to the check ceremony on Friday night.
Were there any other contests that Westgate had? Because I thought I saw a tweet
they had a win
about
total.
The win total.
Yep, they had a win total, I think 25. You had to pick win totals for all 32 teams, and 25 was
25.
the
Somebody hit 25.
We had a client who had 20, and I mean, which is still amazing. But yeah, 25 I think was the winning total there, which is pretty amazing to hit 25 out of 32.
No doubt.
Yeah.
But the Westgate is. I mean, I chatted a little bit with John Murray over there yesterday. And they have some exciting things like kind of in the works for next year. So they can't. Nothing's official yet, but they're trying to do some new things that will get some people in there. And I know a college contest is definitely something under consideration there. And I know that's the one thing that people really want in Las Vegas is a pure college football contest. The Nugget contest, which you guys were in, is a good contest, but they just don't get the kind of entries that some of the other contests get. And like, you really want a nice prize pool to be able to give the winner a big check at the end. And hopefully that's. I don't even know who won the Nugget contest. I'm waiting for the results. I just checked the website earlier, but do you know how you guys did last week?
I didn't even check.
No.
Not great.
I don't think enough to move up to the.
I think everybody took Georgia on Thursday. went down and put picks in, and like everybody took Georgia. So I mean that's 0-1 right off the bat, unfortunately. But it'll be interesting to see how those turn out, because I know a few of our clients needed Georgia and some other things to happen to finish strong and get in that top 20.
Yeah.
I'm going through my mind about Derek Stevens and how smart of a businessman he is, and giving out credit to the people to bet at the book.
Yep.
Again, so I mean, those people who won 1.7 million, no idea how much they hedged.
Right.
Yeah, no, 400,000.
I mean, that's true. We were kind of joking a little bit in those early games when it seems like all the teams were losing at one point, and we were like, I think Derek's worst nightmare obviously is to lose all the hedges,
right,
and then lose all, and then everyone loses in Survivor, and he still has to pay out like everyone's a winner. You know,
right,
what I mean? There's a situation where if nobody wins, then they all win, because they all lasted and they went 19-1 or whatever. So I mean, that would have been just catastrophic if that happened. But I mean, the odds of that are extremely small. But I mean, he did a great job. They also offered like the tie props. I think we talked about that last time. And our guy, he shopped around. He said he got like 65-1 on a tie happening on the in the Bucks or not in the Falcons and the Panthers game. So he threw 1,000 on that, and he also said he bet like 10 grand on the spread as well at 7.5, so plus 7.5 for the Panthers. So he covered his bases, and he actually also sold a portion of his entry like around Thanksgiving time for a really good amount of money. So he was basically just making the picks, and he had a decent share going the rest of the way, but he also locked up a good amount of money because I mean that's the thing is he could have gone out like first week of December as well and he got nothing, but except for what he sold the share for. So he really did a great job. I mean that's the one thing I think for anybody who gets in the contest moving forward is just knowing when to cash in and try. He was trying to sell part of his entry like as early as like November. I think it was like I looked at emails from him and he was reaching out to me and said, hey, if you know anybody who wants to buy this off me, I'm like willing to take a number or whatever. And he and then he, like I said, he just ended up selling a share of it like after I think it was after he got through Thanksgiving. Because that last month is tough.
Gotta be careful with that. There was some stories long ago. Some guy sold almost 200%.
Oh, really?
For the
double sold it
for the Westgate, and he ended up winning.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I'm there. That's the one thing is you got to make sure you're doing all of the stuff legally, like with contracts and things like that. I mean, because this guy Joe, he had deal set up with a guy a couple times, I think, and it fell through because the guy couldn't get all his ducks in a row. And I was like, at that point, I was like, hey, maybe it's going to work out for you. Just don't worry about it. Maybe you're meant to have the entry.
Right.
And I mean, that's the thing. You get to week 18. I mean, he had like a plus 350 hedge on it. So, I mean, you can't really do much better than that in week 18 to have a team like that, other than the Bucks who are, I think they were like plus 1,100 or higher, something like that on the money line. But playing the mighty Saints, who gave them all they had.
They did
last game.
I thought, wow, look at this. What if they both lose? Could you imagine?
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it'll be interesting in the playoffs to see how much of a toll that took on them. Like just Baker looked like he gutted it out in that game too. Yeah. He's either good or bad, it seems like. And he started that game off really poorly and gave the Saints a chance. And then all of a sudden he kind of turned it on. He tried to get Mike Evans the record, his incentives. There's $3 million in incentives, which was pretty nice. But
he got it.
Yeah. I know he got on the last drive with nothing to play for, I think it was. Yeah. So pretty cool. But anybody who wants to find out about the contest this year, footballcontest.com is our website. I'm also running a playoff fantasy pool for people. My first one filled up today for tonight, but I'm trying to get another one running for tomorrow. So there's only 6 spots total, and I got one of them. So
don't look at me. I already did well enough in that.
I know it's a lot. It's trickier too because the thing is about the playoff pool. Yeah. I mean, I did one last year and ended up winning like $500. But what happens is you pick players going in the playoffs, and you obviously only get them until they're knocked out. So you have to do a good job. Like last year, I had picked a lot of Chiefs and 49ers, so that's how I ended up doing pretty well. And it's tricky to do that. And then if you have a player that plays one game and is done, you got to hope that guy goes off and that's it. But I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be the top pick, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that sounds.
But other than that, it's interesting. But I just try to throw it out there. Everyone's jonesing for some more action at this point.
They definitely are. How many people are in? Now I'm asking questions. How many people are in that playoff?
There's only 6 teams, including myself. So, but I set up a new domain name, beatvegasmatty.com. So you guys can go there and see everything that's available. They've got a Maui Madness, which is another cool contest. It's like a fantasy thing where you can buy, I think it's they're $25 entries, or you get 5 for $100, and which is very reasonable. And you can win a trip to Maui, which is valued at $10,000. So it's pretty cool.
That's not footballcontest.com though. That's full time.
That's through Full-Time Fantasy, yeah. But I just if you go to beatvegasmatty.com, you can get that information. And then, I've been sending email to our clients about that, trying to get them signed up for the playoff fantasy pool.
Maybe I can pull together a South Point studio group.
Yeah, think about it. You'll want to do it probably.
I know. Well, now that you said it does sound pretty fun. Yeah. We are going to, so we don't forget.
Yeah, we forgot yesterday.
Show our whiteboards and our top plays of the day.
I did 3 totals in college basketball. Iowa over, North Carolina SMU over, And then that UCLA Michigan game I like the best out of the 3 under.
That's funny because that is the one
That you
I
picked
took
out.
from you. Michigan
Good.
and UCLA were going under, and I have 2 totals as well. I have the under in the Flames and the Ducks. If you can get 6.5, grab the 6.5. I don't mind it at 6. And then I like over in the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins game tonight, over 6.5. So it is a high total, but 3 plays, 3 totals for each of us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Maddie, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your support all through the season and look forward to seeing you getting signups in late May. So stay tuned for more on footballcontest.com.
Late May, yeah, and we'll have you back in here when it's getting closer so people can make their arrangements to get with you to have a proxy. Dad, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Everybody behind the glass, Ann, Andrew, Ryan, and Vince, thank you guys for all that you do. Thank you, everybody in the chat, and for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. Remember, we're going full football tomorrow. We're going to cover as much as we can with the NFL playoffs, and we'll lightly touch hockey and college basketball as always. For Kenny White, I'm Alex White. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow here on Sports by the Book.